Ferrari, the cars that make Formula 1 sing. In 64 years, they've won more titles than anyone else.
It is Ferrari's biggest triumph yet.
But their tune has changed. In recent years, a runner-up. For Ferrari, it is now time to set the record straight. For a new beat is pounding. Formula 1 is changing beyond recognition. There is urgency to add to the age-old imperative. Aerodynamics all change. There are lighter loads of new ranges of fuel.
Fuel is becoming really very important for the performance of the engine.
It's like new Formula 1 for everyone.
Above all, there are new engines. The naturally aspirated 2.4-litre V8 engine replaced by a turbocharged 1.6-litre V6 powertrain, complete with energy recovery systems. A revolution of cutting-edge advances. With unprecedented access, this is a story of perseverance, of passion, seen at first hand like never before. In the northern Italian town of Maranello, the story begins with a birth. This is the day the new V6 Ferrari engine will be heard for the very first time. Day turns to night, the dawn of a new age at dusk. To be in here, you have to belong. This is for close family members only. The countdown to the future. No triumphant fanfare, but this is what will power the dream to win again, what the past 3 years have all been about. There is a world championship to complete in the old car. Sebastian Vettel and Red Bull are dominating Formula 1 again. For the Ferrari drivers, it is a grueling season. Everyone in the Ferrari family is suffering.
There are a few words to summarize 2013. We are not happy at all about the result.
It has been quite a season where we would like to forget as soon as possible.
Being Ferrari, you have to win. Second position is not position for Ferrari.
Fernando Alonso, the Spanish driver, is in his 4th season with Ferrari. He's twice a world champion with Renault. With Ferrari, 11 race wins, 3 times a runner-up, but not yet a champion.
We won the first couple of Grand Prix. We were on the podium at the beginning, so the first half of the season was all right. And then, unfortunately, for two main reasons, there was one reason connected to the fact that we were not able to develop the car in the right way. Secondly, with the change of the configuration of the tires has affected our performance. And unfortunately, we went in the second half of the season in a very difficult situation.
This year, we had some problems with the tires, and I think in Ferrari we're struggling a little bit more with the last construction on the tires that slowed down a little bit our performance, but as I said, it's the same for everybody, so it's up to us to do a little bit better. In difficult moments, you need to build up with a strong basis to look ahead, and this is what I believe we have done. 2014 is a big challenge for all the teams. It's a big change in the regulations. The turbo engine come back for next year. There are some other aerodynamic effects that will change maybe the order of the cars. So we have until March next year to put all the parts together, and finger crossed will be good enough. Come here. Come here. Look there. Look there. Good. Give me 5.
Give me 5. Easy competition.
For the Ferrari head of trackside operations, Luigi Fraboni, the new regulations offer a reset, a chance to begin again.
Everyone will start from 0, and everyone has to rethink about powertrain, has to rethink about the car. I'm confident that Ferrari will interpret the new rules better than the other, and we will be successful in next year.
At the Ferrari factory in Maranello, it's the new engine that is concentrating minds.
It's quite busy, as you might imagine. We have a brand new engine, brand new powertrain, really, I would say, cutting-edge technology. The engine's very interesting, and it's going to be quite relevant to road car work where they're downsizing and going for sort of highly turbocharged, small downsize, highly boosted, knocking engines, shall we say, that need to be very fuel efficient. But we're here day and night, so the old cup of tea helps.
My group feels the responsibility of this new project, and we want to do a good job. The fact that we could start from the beginning, together with Shell, to design a power system and the fuel and the lubricant with this new concept has been really rewarding and a really fantastic technical experience. Hopefully we will prove that we have done a good job, but till March next year will be almost impossible to say if we have done a good job. Reliability is playing a key role. Next year will be even more critical because each driver will have only 5 power units for the complete season, making engine life almost double what we are doing right now. On top of this, FIA put a limit of 100 kilos of fuel for the complete race. So this means next year the strategy of fuel consumption during the race may become critical in some races.
The fuel is becoming really very important for the performance of the engine and finally of the car, even more than what it was in the past. So it means that here the objective will be to reduce more than 30% fuel consumption compared to what we are doing today. But I think what we are facing at the moment is the most important challenge we had in the last at least 20 years in Formula 1.
It's going to be producing in excess of 600 horsepower, turning at 15,000 RPM. The turbocharger itself can be operating at up to 1,000 degrees C and rotates up to 125,000 RPM. That's 2,000 revs per second. Incredible figures, and all these things that the oil has got to cope with for around 4,000 kilometres, which is a monumental task.
For every engine, there must be fuel and oils. Shell's Technology Center near Hamburg in Germany. Shell's Formula 1 fuel contains at least 99% of the same types of compound normally used in road fuels sold everywhere. But that 1% of difference. The latest blend is U40. Tests on this 40th version of the race fuel blend were at first encouraging, but now it's causing the engine to misfire. These are the growing pains the engineers have got used to over the last 3 years. They will face challenges at every turn, but these latest results are a concern.
From what we do with the performance testing, we were seeing misfires in 2 or 3 hours, and that more or less in the long run looked to be about 3 hours. So I would say we've got a reasonable challenge ahead of us in the next weeks.
We've just heard in the meeting that the latest fuel that we've been working on with Ferrari gives great performance, but the durability just isn't quite there.
Ferrari would like that sold within 2 or 3 weeks, but realistically that's a tough call, tough ask. So the backup fuels, we got to get them in place and tested by Ferrari just up before Christmas, so it's yeah, all hands to the decks. While the rest of the world is enjoying Christmas, for us often it is the busiest part of the year, and especially the case this year with the new engine and the new challenges.
If there are December nights that dampen the spirits, there are others before Christmas that quicken the pulse. Ferrari's proud history and the future. 5 million euros worth of virtual racing, 2 tons of simulator. Tonight, the driver will be Fernando Alonso. It's the first time the Spaniard has eased himself behind the wheel of the new car, albeit a virtual version, under the watchful eye of his race engineer, Andrea Stella. The simulator allows the driver to get used to all the new systems and procedures. There is so much that will be new in the season ahead, a season of momentous change. There is a mountain of data to be collected, sifted through and analysed. But this is also about the touch and feel of the driver. Everything in front of him and behind him is different. Will the engineering and the design marry with the human who must control them? So very new is all this, that these are nerve-jangling times. This is a totally new driving experience, from the instrument panel to the car's straight-line performance to its cornering. Fernando will have to learn how to manage his fuel in a car carrying around 30% less. How and when to use the new energy recovery systems that will improve lap times by as much as 3 seconds. They have just over a month before they head to Jerez in Spain and drive for real in testing.
Simulator is always hard, especially because the hours that you spend there is a little bit more than the car. You don't lose time to make changes, everything is on the computer, so you keep running all the day without problems, which is nice, but it's hard. It's nice to come back behind the wheel and start. You know, we cannot wait too much because the regulations are very different, so it's nice to be back and try to share some ideas with the engineers. Obviously, we need to learn and we need to practice a lot of things, and we are in a very first part of the program, and it's nice to be involved in this new thing, no? Because it's like new Formula 1 for everyone.
It's the advice given everywhere to tired drivers on long journeys that they take a break. And so it is that even at Ferrari, they stop in their race to be ready and have a party. It's a famous tradition, the Christmas lunch for the 700 workers at Maranello. Putting what has gone and what is to come into context is the job of the chairman, Luca di Montezemolo. The chairman has a speech to make to the workforce at Maranello. A message of encouragement, even if reference has to be made to the sorry business of not winning again.
Negli ultimi 4 anni, se ricordo bene, abbiamo fatto 3 volte il secondo posto, adesso ci siamo stufati dei secondi posti.
The Ferrari drivers in costume. And of course, Father Christmas wears red. Ferrari red. The new year in England. Shell's F1 technical team have been working flat out on the race fuels and oils. When there's a chance to relax, here's what one petrochemical expert gets up to.
So this is one Malik sports racing car, in amongst with all the junk. As a Formula 1 fan, as a petrol head from the start, I mean, I remember when I first got involved in motor racing myself, I went down to round the corner to a friend who had a racing car in his garage and used to look at his Autosport, and you see pictures of Fiorano and the Ferrari going around the test track there, and people at the bottom of the track by the bridge towards the Montana restaurant we know. That, and I remember looking at those and thinking, oh, that's fascinating. And little did I believe that probably 30 years or something like that later, I would be actually out there myself inside the track and inside Ferrari. So, I mean, it's been fascinating.
Coming back from the races, coming down the driveway and just getting home is a really nice feeling, actually. Coming away from all the hustle and bustle and the busyness and the fast pace, it's nice to come away here and just decompress and relax a bit, spend time with the family. It is the perfect getaway, really. Have a nice walk. I've looked back over the last year, my first year doing the job, and there are a few things that really stick in my memory. One of them is the day I first got my uniform with my name on it. That was absolutely incredible. And I think every time you pull on the red uniform representing Shell and Ferrari, it does feel quite special. I struggle to articulate how much this all means to me, to be honest.
The problem with garages, they never have enough room. So, in them. It always managed to fill up the available space. So unfortunately, the garage is not quite like a Formula 1 pit, or the garage back in the workshops back in Maranello. It's quite different. the other end of the racing scale. Racing is racing. It's the same mentality throughout. You know, there is some trophies there up there. It's a bit tarnished these days, but there's several championships I won in the mid-90s. I actually won a national championship 3 years on the run.
In Maranello, the return of the last man to drive a Ferrari to a world title, Kimi Raikkonen, the Iceman, making a slow entrance.
Not a good spot. I even didn't manage to park it in there.
A chance for a little nostalgia in a warehouse of heritage.
It's that one, yeah. Yes. I mean, it looks... the color was a little bit different, like we can see on that here from the previous years. But I mean, I think it looks nice car because it has all those details that we used to have, and I mean, the rules were a little bit different. So it was a very good car. And I had a good races with it, so it looks nice. It's nice to come back and start working with Ferrari again.
Testing in southern Spain is approaching fast. It's the final sprint in Maranello before the drivers put the new Ferrari through its paces. The brand new F14T. Day and night the work goes on. It's a question of completing pre-testing projects, applying the finishing touches. The last of those touches in the long, hugely complex process, the livery. Famously red, romantically rosso. 100% pure Ferrari. Ferrari were there at the very start of Grand Prix racing. Theirs is the richest history in motorsport. The F14T, the hope for the future. There will be 3 opportunities for pre-season testing, once in Jerez and twice in Bahrain, to scrutinize the performance and reliability of this, the most technically advanced Formula 1 car ever made by Scuderia Ferrari. This is a huge leap into the unknown. Time to be on the move. Time for the team to head for Jerez de la Frontera in Spain. A new chapter begins, and in it there is time for contemplation. For the team's Deputy Engine and Electronics Director, Mattia Binotto, testing does not apply only to the new car. These are testing times for the engineers, who have had to respond to such a radical overhaul of Formula 1's regulations. So much to do, so little time.
First of all, we have very little testing compared to years ago, because only 12 total days of testing before the first race with a completely new regulation is really very little. And the days are very long. People are sleeping 1 or 2 hours at the moment per night. There's a lot to be learned, a lot to be discovered, a lot to be done. So it's really challenging.
Jerez de la Frontera, the first test for everyone.
We've come a long way with understanding the problems, fixing them, and we've got a couple of options up our sleeve for similar type fuels, so it's looking pretty promising.
Trying to make it all work together has been the biggest challenge. And I think you'll find that's the biggest challenge in the car. Trying to get any one of those things to work is not so bad. Trying to get them all to work together in the correct way at the right time is the challenge.
And it proves a testing time indeed. First, a fire in the engine bay during the first startup, the night before testing begins. Then Kimi Raikkonen's car stops on track during his first lap.
I heard on a headphone that we had to stop the car. The first thought was, I hope that we have not damaged the car. You know, the car is one, some parts are coming at the last moment, so I was really scared to have damaged the car. Second, I hope I have not damaged the engine.
Kimi's car stopped on track, so as a precaution, we took an oil sample, run some analysis to check that everything was okay and there weren't any abnormal or elevated concentrations of wear metals in the oil. Everything was fine, so from our perspective, everything is good.
With the problem fixed, the car starts to rack up the track miles.
The idea was to go there, to run and find out, it's the first time we've run the car, what other problems we had, and in that time scale, there's still time to fix them. If you get to Bahrain and you've got some problems, there's less time, etc., etc.
We were a little bit nervous because we knew that it was a very difficult and complicated job. And I was proud to see that at the end of the test, everything was all right.
Part of my group's responsibility is to work with Shell on the oil and the fuel, but we've been able to tap into their research contacts to understand combustion and really start to make some understanding and take things down to a fundamental level. If you understand things, you tend to make more progress, but you need to break it down to the point that you can understand it.
We have to try and maintain performance, but we also have to try and extend durability and protection, so that really has been a real challenge to our oil formulators.
It has been a very tough test in Jerez. We were expecting this, but we have collected what we wanted. We have run consistently. We have collected a lot of information that we could not draw just running on the dyno. We got some important feedback from our drivers. So I would say the first test in Jerez has been great for Ferrari, and a lot of work to be prepared for the next test in Bahrain.
On they go to Bahrain for the final two tests. More miles on the clock, more things learned. Others falter. Ferrari's power unit remains reliable. It's been a long journey, but the car is here, the starting grid of a new age. Melbourne, the first round of the 2014 Formula 1 World Championship. A brave new world with brand new cars. The first race proved a stern test for Ferrari, but then it was a difficult day for many of the teams. In a race of jeopardy and uncertainty, Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen finished 4th and 7th, respectively. There were teething problems, but the F14T delivered the reliability that had been hoped for. With the first race completed, time for reflection.
I think the most positive thing to come from the weekend is the demonstration of reliability. Both cars finished the race in strong positions. No problems at all with the wear metal analysis or with the legality of the fuels, so it's relatively a quiet weekend, but a quiet weekend is good because if there's any issues, it means that we're not doing our jobs right.
As an engine guy, the first thing that you don't want is an engine that is switching off. So this was very good. The job that we have to do since the first test in Jerez was really massive, and if you can move your thought from that time to now, we have done such an improvement that is unbelievable.
Dave Salters, he called me just after the race to talk about the next fuels that might be arriving in Maranello. That's the kind of relentless pressure that we're under. Regardless of where we are with the racing, the development work doesn't stop.
Of course, the result of today is not what we want, but on this point I think that we have a lot of stuff that we can work on for Malaysia.
The next stages in our development process are quite clear to us, really. The reliability's there, we just need more performance.
The results were not spectacular, but the achievement is great. Not just a triumph of fuel and oil, metal and machine. These are the fruits of hard labor in Maranello, in Hamburg, in hearts and in minds.
When you work for Ferrari, Obviously, the passion is really what you've got inside.
If you walk in our facility, if you see our people, from their faces, even if all the people are tired, you can see that we are all proud and happy to be involved in such an important project.
I think that we are really, really lucky to be part of that company, to be part of that sport, because really we are enjoying our days here working in Ferrari.
We've had to build a new team, so from a personal managerial aspect, it's been delightful growing a team of brilliant people.
A lot of it goes unnoticed, to be honest. The constant and relentless push that the team have towards bringing more and more performance and improvements in the fuels and oils is, yeah, it's incredibly impressive.
I think that the challenge is incredible, both from the technical and sporting point of view, and if we can summarize with the word, is really radical.
To develop a car and technology that has been never used before in Formula 1, this has been an amazing work.
For 3 years, this has been an adventure. To reach this point, the free spirit of invention has run as a partner, a co-driver to the clear reason of pure science. Dreams and engineering in a race to be here. But this is just the start. What will come next?
I think there's a lot of places that we can improve, and we'll be surprised how fast we can go with the cars again.
Our aim is to fight for the championship, and our aim is to win the Formula 1 World Championship. There is no other thing. I will lie if I say something different. We are Ferrari. We have to deliver always. People expect a lot from us, and we are ready to do so.